Parshas Lech Lecha, we're in the third reading.
Okay.
We continue the story of Abraham. We're living with Abraham a whole week. Avraham, also Loit is the nephew of Avram. That went with Avram. He had sheep and cattle. And tents. Rashi is Avram, that he went and accompanied himself with Avram. So Rashi says, "Mi garam sha'ayala kol zayis." What caused him to have all of this wealth? Avram. It was because he went with Avram. In other words, because he accompanied Avram, he got the blessing to have wealth. Right? That's how Rashi picks up on the words "ha'hoylech is Avram." That in his going with Avram, so it's a, I don't know, it's a nuance in the Hebrew phrase.
I can understand that.
Huh?
I can understand that. When you're sort of hanging on to the coattails, so to speak,
Right.
of someone who's doing well, then it rubs off on you and
exactly.
you benefit.
Exactly. And Nasa did not support them, the land, Lashevis Yachtav, to dwell together. Why? Because their possessions were plenty, were extensive. They were not able to remain together. So what does it mean? What do you mean? It could not support them. Right? That's what does that mean? Well, Haisa Yachela was not able Sika Mira enough pasture to supply Lemiknehem for their livestock. Lashon Kotzer, it's an abbreviated phrase over here. Doesn't say exactly what wasn't able to support them, meaning they had so much livestock that to pasture their livestock they didn't have enough for the two for both of them. And it was necessary to add to it. It's as if the verse had said, that the pasture of the land could not support them. That's why it's written, Nasa could not support B'lashon Zachar in a masculine form. Meaning, Eretz is usually a feminine form. So it should have been written Nasa with a hey at the end, which would be a feminine form of that the land could not be supportive. But the fact that it's written in masculine form, I don't know what he means by that. Okay. Next. Verse number 7. So now that there wasn't enough pasture to support all of their livestock, ben Reya Mikne Avram, and there arose a reeve. Reeve means a quarrel. Ben Reya, between. The Reya means the herdsman of Avraham, the Ben Reya Mikne Light, and between the herdsmen, the shepherds of Lot, the Kanani, Baprizi, Oz Yeshibarts, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites were then living in the land. Okay. What would be your natural question that Rashi might want to address? What has it got to do with the?
Why did they have to say that the Canaanites and Perizzites were living?
Exactly.
What does that have to do with the argument?
Right, exactly.
Except for the fact that
nope, that's good. Good question.
They were living in the land, and it sort of the land belonged to them. And
so let's see. Let's see what Rashi has to say. Yeah, it seems like an obvious question. Vahiri, when there was quarreling, because the shepherds of Lot, they were wicked. Amarim behemtam, and they would gaze their cattle, in the field of others. Others fields that didn't belong to them. And Abraham's shepherds would rebuke them on the theft that they were committing by grazing their cattle on other people's lands. And Lot shepherds would say, Nitnar Avram, the land was given to Avram. V'loy ein yorish, and Avram has no children, so he has no heir. V'loy ben achiv yosher. So Lot, who is his nephew, his brother's son, will inherit him, right? So he's going to inherit him. V'loy ben achiv yorish, right? That he will inherit him. And as a result, this is not theft because ultimately the land will belong to Lot. But the verse then comes to refute that argument. It says, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling in the land, even though in the future it would be given to Avram, but in the moment that was not his possession. So in other words, it was theft by the shepherds of Lot, grazing them in other people's fields was theft.
Right.
Oh, Rashi answered our Shimon Leib's question. Shimon Leib? Good man. Okay, number 8. Vayomer Avram el Lot, and Avram said to Lot, Al na. Please, there shouldn't be tia meriva. There shouldn't be any contention between me and you, and between the shepherds, between my shepherds, and your shepherds, because we are relatives. Rashi, nashim achim, kroivim, relatives, and midrash agada, daim klaser panim. And the Midrash says, what is this? These words means that we are brothers because they resembled in facial features. That's what it means. Why Rashi has to say that? On the simple meaning, right? Number 9, haloi kol haaretz. Is it not that the entire land lefanecha is before you? He parted name elai. Separate yourself from me. Im hasmoyel, if you go to the left, I'll go to the right. Bin hayamin, and if you go to the right, I'll go to the left. He's giving him the choice. You choose the path you want to take, and I'll take the opposite. If you take the left, I'll go to the right. Wherever you will dwell, I'm not going to distance myself from you. I will be there to be your protector. And to be a helper to you. In the end of the matter, what happened? Needed Avram as a protector. Shenemar, as it says, Visha Avram, Avram heard that his brother had been taken, meaning his nephew, called him like a brother, was taken captive. They mean, I will go right. How does Rashi get from here that he's not going to distance himself? If you go left, I'll go right. Where does Rashi get the notion, right, that I'm not going to go far? I'll still be there for you. From those words.
I think what he's saying is that even though we're separated, that I'll still be there.
No, I understand what Rashi's saying. That's not my question. How does Rashi know to say that from the text? That's my question, right? Rashi doesn't say
I'll be there to protect you.
Rashi doesn't say something that is just his feelings, right? Right. He doesn't say something that is based on projection. He doesn't say something that's based even on the Midrash or the Talmud that would say it. It has to fit into the simple meaning of the words. So how does it fit into the simple meaning of the words, right? That if you go left, I go right, then I'm not going to go distance. Maybe. How do those words indicate that? That's my question, right?
You just support, like you support, even though the distance may be far.
I'm not debating the concept. Rashi, though, has to learn it from the verse or from some context, right? So the fact that I would say to you, okay, if you go left, I'll go right. Does that imply that we will be close to each other? Not necessarily.
No, could be far away.
Could be far away, but Rashi doesn't say that. So my question is, how does Rashi get it from those words? That's my question, right? Rashi, again, we have to understand Rashi is learning.
He leaves it vague.
That's not the question I'm asking. That's not my question. Not Rashi is saying it because he's learning it from the context of the words or the context of the verse or the context of the words or the meaning of the words. How does he get it from those words? That's my question. It's simple. Okay. They mean then I will go right, literally. I mean, Satvi, I will write myself. The mina, meaning means literally, I will write myself. Kamoi basmila, like literally, the left means asmila is atmi, I will left myself. Vim taimar, and if you will say by way of objection, hayaloy lenakidebe, amina, vowelize in a way with an kach matzina b'makom acher as we find elsewhere. Yesh ish lehemin. It's possible that I tend to the right, but ain't not good lahamin. It's not vowelized. I have some grammar over there. Okay. Next, visa light. And light looked up. Saying of his eyes, he took his eyes and looked up. Biyar, and he saw. It's called Kikar Ayard, and he saw the whole Kikar, the plain of the Jordan River. Kikula Mashke. Oh, it was all irrigated. Lifnei Shachis Hashem Estein V'Amara. Before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Amorah, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, Kigan Hashem. It was like a garden of God, Ke'eretz Mitzrayim, like the land of Egypt. Bayachat Tzayar, extending as far as the city of Tzayar. Right, so he saw a greatly irrigated land. This is the land of Sodom and Gomorrah before it was destroyed. Like a garden like Egypt. Okay, Rashi. Kikule mashke, that it was all watered. A land of streams of waters. Shachis Hashem is before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. How you Misha, that plain was Kigan Hashem, like a garden of God. Lilonis, with regard to trees, Keretz Mitzrayim, like the land of Egypt, Lizoram, and with regard to seeds. It was beautiful. Bayachat Tzayar, reaching to Tzayar, Ad Tzayar. Until Tzayar, Midrash Agada. So literally means until. The Midrash Agada, what does it mean? Bayacha, coming, reaching to Zayar. Dorsha Liganai expounds his verse in a negative way in reference to light. Al Shahayu Shtufe Zima, because they were steeped in lewdness. Bachar Lailai Bishchunasam, he chose that neighborhood. He went, where did he go? He went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, Sodom and Gomorrah, next week's parsha, it's going to get destroyed, right? Why? Because of lewdness there. They were evil people. Right. He was attracted to these evil people. That's what the second explanation is giving. Okay. And he chose for himself light. It's called Kikar Yarden, the entire Kikar, the plain of the Jordan River. He saw light, and light traveled. He journeyed Mikedem from the west. So he went he went to the east, he was in the west, and he went to the east now. And he separated them, they separated one from the other. Rashi Kikar, Mishor Kitar a plain, according to Uncle's translation. Interesting that Rashi says over here in this verse, translating Kikar to mean a plain, right? In others, flat land, right? As opposed to in the previous verse, we had the word Kikar also, and there he doesn't translate it. I'm sorry, no,
You go over here to plain of Jordan, you didn't use it before.
second.
Oh, yeah.
No, he did in
It was
10.
funny.
In 10, he says Kikar also. Yar is a Kikar Yardain, right?
Same thing.
No, but that's a no. The question is why didn't he translate it in the previous verse? Why is he only translating it here?
No, he
Another-
translated.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he's called it the plain of Jordan. Jordan
No,
River.
no. Shimon Leib, Rashi. We have to say, Shimon, look at me. Look at me. Look at me so you can understand. When you're reading the English, you're reading with a translation that already is incorporating Rashi, perhaps, right, or whatever, right? You're not learning properly that way. That's why when I'm translating, you should follow my translation because I'm literally translating, right? So you can learn first of all some Hebrew, and you're going to get more clarity in the
front. Remember it.
Whenever you got to 120, so you got some time, right? So listen, the word kikar was in verse number 10.
Yeah.
Right? And there Rashi didn't explain its meaning. But in verse 11, he does. Well, if you need to explain over here what its meaning is, that means it needed an explanation in the previous verse. Why did you explain it here and not in the previous verse? That's the question.
Right.
Okay. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. Just because I have a question doesn't mean I have an answer. Okay?
Every question should have an answer. That's
Well, sometimes you just need to
have to search for it.
Yeah, I have to search for it. I have to search.
I can say this.
Huh?
Why don't you Google it?
No, 'cause we're
find
learning.
answers all the time by Googling.
I don't know if Google will give this so quickly. Okay. Next Rashi in 11. Mikedem from the east. Nasa me'etzel Avram. He journeyed from next to Avraham, from his east. Halach loy lemar avay shel Avram, and he went toward Avraham's west. Nimtza neisem in mizrach lemar. So it comes out that he was traveling east to west.
Right.
The Jordan Valley is on the eastern edge of the land of Israel. But when Lot left Avram to go there, he first traveled to his west. He did so that Avram should not realize where he was heading. He was ashamed to have his uncle know that he was going to a place that there was sexual immorality there. So he first went west, and then he went back east. That's what happened. Midrash Agada, the Agada interprets it as follows. He made himself travel away from the word is kedem. Kedem means first. And in directions, what's the first direction? East, because that's where the sun rises, right? Got it? Correlation with the word? But it also means first. Well, who's the first of the world? God. So there's a way we refer to God as Kadmusei Shaloilam, the first one of the world, right? So we refer to the east, right? It can be put as a word as the east. It can be from the first beginning, and it can mean in reference to God that he's the beginning of all, right? In other words, so Rashi's explaining that according to the Medrash, what does it mean he went to east? He means he went from east, he went from God. He went away from God. Amar efshi be'Avram. I want neither Avram v'lo Yalakov and not his God. I had enough of his religion. I'm moving away from him. Got it?
Yeah, it seems so.
Baruch atah Adonai Melech Olam Shachar Barei. Chai, chai. Okay, verse number 12. I hope you're following. If you follow the teachings rather than reading on your own, you're gonna get it. Okay, verse number 12. Avram Yasha Beretz Canaan. Avram, he dwelt in the land of Canaan. Veloit Yasha Be'arei Hakikar. And Loit, he settled in the cities of the Kikar of the plain, meaning the Jordan River plain. The Yehol Ad, and he pitched his tent throughout the whole plain as far as Stoim. He went as far as Stoim. Rashi v'Yehol nata halim l'rayim omiknehu v'Yehol. He pitched his tents, plural. He had many tents to l'rayim for his shepherds, l'miknehem, and for his cattle. Ad Stoim as far as Stoim. He had much. I don't know what it means. He pitched tents for his cattle. Well, wow, I don't get that.
No, I don't know one.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3.
Except maybe for the cattle to be in the shade.
That's how many tents? How many? I get that, but first of all, they could probably break it very easily, right?
Probably.
That's first of all. Secondly, is boy, you'd have to have a lot of tents. And tents are not so big. I would imagine. Maybe they weren't like real, they were tents and in the fact that, like you said, shade, maybe they didn't have sides to it. They were just, pinned down to the ground so they would be a top so they would be shade for them in the heat. Maybe that would make sense. Yeah. And the inhabitants of Stoim were evil, his neighbors, right? They were wicked. The Chatoim and sinners, La Hashem to God, very much so. Right? Let's see. What does that mean? Rashi, Anshe Stoim, Royim, the people of Stoim are wicked, Afal Pikein, despite the fact that they were wicked. Why is the verse telling us? Loi Nimna, Loi did not refrain, to dwell with them. Right? Our rabbis learn, our sages learn from him, Shem Rishon Mirkov, that the name of the wicked shall rot. Because it's Anshe Stoim, Roim. In other words, in other words, when you mention the wicked, mention their wickedness, because that wickedness then will make them rot. Right? That the name of them should rot, because you're mentioning them in their wickedness, that will bring them to rot. Royim, begufam, they were wicked with their bodies, v'chatoyim and sinful, b'mamoinam with their property. L'Hashem to Hashem, very much so. Yodim, what does it mean? Very much so. Well, it's a quantitative, qualitative. So he says, well, Yodim riboinam, they knew their master, umiskavnim limriboy, but yet they intended to rebel against him. So if they were wicked and sinful, right, as God is saying, so seemingly it's superfluous to say that they were that it's towards Hashem, La Hashem. So what does it mean to God? Meaning they were aware of God. They were aware of what God wants and demands from them, that they should not be they should not be lewd, and yet they were aware of that, but purposefully went against him. Got it?
Yeah.
That's the inference over here. Hashem Amar El Avram, and Hashem said to Avram, Achi parid loid mi'imai, after he separated Lloyd from him, right? Meaning that they separated from each other, right? Let raise up, please, your eyes, Urei, and see. Mina Malkum, from the place Asher Atasham that you are there. Safaina to the north, go take a look. Nevegban to the south. The Kedma, what's Kedma? Shimon Leib?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
What was that? Sorry.
Kedma means east, right? It means Kedem first. That's the east is first, right? The Yama and
I don't know
west.
where the word is.
Oh, we're in 14. Okay. Rashi
Oh,
in 14. Ache parid Lloyd, after Lloyd had separated from him. Why is Rashi, why does he have to say that? Why is it obviously it's after he separated? The narrative already told us that he separated. Why is it repeating it and saying that he separated?
Because maybe he separated spiritually and
Rashi is going to give an answer. That's the question. Remember, we need to be 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds, you know what a 5-year-old is? You know, we're not 5 yet. Because a 5-year-old will have all the questions that Rashi's coming to answer. Because Rashi doesn't ask the question, he gives the answer. But we have to figure out what's Rashi bothered by in the verse, and therefore ask the question. So you acted like a 5-year-old before when you had the question, the Rashi then answered, right? And now here is the 5-year-old answer. So he explains, Kolzman, as long as Harashi Imai, that the evil one was with him, the wicked person, God separated himself from Avram and didn't speak to him. The fish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shamar Kadosh Baruch Hu, because Hashem said to Avraham, Lech Lecha, go for yourself, V'loi im loi, but not with light. Wow. You hear that? When God said at the beginning of the parsha, Lech Lecha, he said, go. He didn't say take light. But he took light. Right?
right.
He said, go for yourself without the company of light. But yet Avram, with his great kindness, took him. But because of that, now he had a wicked one with him. And therefore, God did not speak to him as long as the wicked one was. Now, this is the first time since the beginning of the parsha, from the beginning of our parsha, God did speak to him when he said, Lech Lecha, right? Now he's speaking to him and saying, right, see, pick up your eyes and take a look. That's why Rashi explains that after Lloyd separated from him, because he shouldn't have been with him.
And he didn't say forever, you get the land forever, before Lloyd separated from him. He said you get the land, but now he says forever. Before he didn't say forever.
Aha, okay, very good. Okay. Okay, 1 second. It's interesting. Yeah, this is the first time Hashem is speaking to Avram since the beginning of the parsha when he told him to go. Lech Lecha. Wow. I never picked that up. Look at that. I learned that Rashi many times. Okay, number 15. We're all good, folks? Ki eskolaritz asher atareya, for all of the land that you see, Lecha etnena, to you I'm giving it. Lazarecha adolam, and to your offspring forever. Yeah, the word forever has been added there. One second. Let's see previously. Yeah. In verse number in chapter number 12, verse number 7, it says Hashem appeared to Avram and he said, to your seed I will give this land. Didn't say forever. Now he says forever. Wow. All right. Samti is Arecha, and I've placed your seed, your offspring, your seed, ka'afaris, like the dust of the earth, meaning numerous, asher lo yuchal, that it will not be able, ish limnois, a man, a person, to count as afaris, to count the dust of the earth, gamzarecha yimone. Your offspring too will be countable. Rashi, asher im yuchal ish, that if a person is able, I'm sorry, I read this a bit wrong. I did translate it a bit wrong, right? I've placed your offspring as numerous as dust as the earth, right? Kavar arz, asher im yuchal. I don't know why I said lo yuchal. Why is im yuchal? That if a person is able to count the dust of the earth, also your seed they'll be able to count, right? They'll be countable, right? Which means obviously the opposite point, right? 16 in Rashi. I make your offspring dust of the earth. What does it mean? They'll be scattered throughout the entire world. Like dust that is scattered everywhere. Wow. Interesting. Boy, that's the first explanation. The second explanation, Shim ein ofar. If there is no dust, soil in the world, there's no trees or crops in the world. Kach, likewise, im ein Israel. If there's no Israel, the world would not exist. Shenemar, as it says, he's borchu b'zarecha, as it says later on, that the nations of the earth shall be blessed themselves by your offspring. But in the days of Mashiach, Meshulim Kechol, the Jewish people will be compared to sand, not to dust. Maki Eshine Hakel, which sets everyone's teeth on edge if it's ingested. Kach Yiplu Viku. So the Israelites will be annihilated and blunt, Kol Olam, the entire world, all that will antagonize them, Shenemar, Kasamim, and to him, to Mashiach, will be blunted, will be the blunting of the nations. Wow, wow, wow. This is very current.
Blunting of the nation.
Hold on, I'm going to make sure I get it clear. It means we're gonna blunt, we're gonna annihilate. Exactly what's going on now. Gonna annihilate the nations who start off with us.
Oh,
Wow, look at this.
Is this Rashi in 16?
You know what? It's in mine, not in yours. Yeah, I see.
Guys, we don't have any of this shit.
Yeah, no, I just realized I picked looking over here. It's not. Huh?
Same here.
Not there? Well, I just gave you something unbelievable.
Following the Rashi when Rabbi
Right.
Fine is reading it, but I couldn't follow because it
No, it's
wasn't
not
there.
Is it-
Where did
Wow.
you get that from?
This is from this one. It brings from yeah. Wow. What a Rashi, huh?
which one are we going?
Repeat.
Huh?
Repeat the last one I read.
So
What
Sort
number?
of lost
and
the
actually,
page.
it kind of it's interesting because here, well, how are we compared to dust? Dust we inhale, right? Dust, right?
Everywhere.
Sand you don't, right?
Right.
So here the dust means the meaning the first explanation you're going to be scattered, right?
Right.
Actually, even that's not in this Rashi over here.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Wow.
So it can't be counted. dust is so prevalent that it can't be counted.
Yeah. Okay. We have to do some research on this. Very interesting. Yeah. And here it's Kishem she'ef shala ofalim otzkach zorach leimane, which is simply the simple term, the simple explanation. Over here, it's not giving the simple explanation. You're going to be scattered because dust scatters, right? Right? Dust blows, right? Sand, we are compared to sand when Mashiach comes. Sand doesn't, first of all, doesn't scatter, right? In the same manner, right? Oh no, first, no.
Elsewhere, we're compared to sand and stars in the sky.
Yeah, I'm just bringing over what he says over here. I'm bringing
I'm
from,
trying to understand, yeah.
right, so
It's talking about
first explanation, the first explanation here was being scattered, that dust scatters will be scattered.
Right. that's
Second
all we have.
explanation, second explanation, here, I'm not talking about what's in the Chayenu, right? The second explanation that just like you must have dust for which is part of the earth in order for things to grow, right? Likewise, you must have Israel to be part of the earth, otherwise there will be no earth. There's no world, right? There's no world. Second explanation. Then it even says that's now we're like dust. Times of Mashiach will be like sand. Sand you ingest, it's can't digest it. The dust we always ingest dust, right? It's in the air, dust
Breathe.
particles, right?
Breathe.
We breathe it in, but sand not. So sand is like this thing that is like is there blocking you, or I don't know what that's the right word, but it's blunting. In other words, it's annihilating, right? The Jewish people, times of Mashiach, those who will stand up against us will be annihilated. Well, anyways, gotta look into this more. Okay. So, two more verses, no Rashis. Kum hisalech, get up, rise, hisalech, and walk, go through Ba'aretz, the land, la'arka to its length, or rachva to its width. Ki lecha etnena, because to you I'm giving it. Not now, in the future, right? I'm giving it to you, but not now. Because what's now? Who's now in the land?
Canaanites
And the
Perizzites.
Perizzites, right? Yeah, all Avram, and Avram pitched his tent, Yahweh, and he came, V'yeshev Eloni Mamre, and he came and settled in Eloni Mamre, in the plains of Mamre, right? Asher b'Chevron, that is in Chevron, the even Shamizbech Hashem, and he built there a altar to God. Mamre, Shem Adam, is the name of a person. Wow. Amazing.
I don't know if
Great, I
there are
have
47
my
or
wife
80
just-
references to the fact that Israel belongs to the Jewish people in all of Chumash.
Huh?
But how come we don't make a point of it? Why is it that the enemies claim the land and we don't speak back to them? Why is that?
No idea.
Why-
Good question.
How is that? How is it that the Chumash has, I don't know, 40 or 80 references, I don't know how many references.
A lot.
Many, probably more than 80
Okay.
references.
Tanya.